In my main segment today over at youtube.com/timcast, check it out if you haven't, I highlighted how the Washington Post was criticizing Rachel Maddow for her insane conspiracy peddling over the Steele dossier. For years, Rachel Maddow has pushed absurd, insane, partisan nonsense. It's conspiracy-level garbage. You want to be biased? Fine, I don't care. I'm biased, we're all biased, right? Just try and be honest. Well, Rachel Maddow is the opposite of honest. She is still obsessed with the Russia connection stuff. Well, I feel bad for the Democrats because this is who you get. You get the heroes you deserve. And the person leading the charge, at least a large portion of the charge and the resistance, is peddling insane nonsense. Look at this article from the Columbia Journalism Review. What if Rachel Maddow is right? What do you mean, what if she's right? They wrote this on December 12th. What do you mean, what if she's right? The Horowitz report came out wrong. The Mueller report came out wrong. She's been wrong nonstop. I'll take this moment to mention that was really funny when, like, in the debate between Trump and Hillary, Trump would just butt in, going like wrong, and like yelling at her. It's hilarious. But I want to get to the crux of what this is really about. While I will, hone in on some criticism of Rachel Maddow, I want you to see this story from Daily Caller. Al Sharpton. Trump's bragging about the economy and Democrats aren't paying attention. It's sad, but he's right. He's absolutely right. And now I'm going to tell you this. I feel really bad for Al Sharpton. I really do. You know why? You see, this story kind of missed one of the important takeaways from what this segment had. On MSNBC, Al Sharpton was talking, and he mentioned that, let me read the quote. He said this: I think voters that are really struggling, which is a lot of the base of the Democratic Party, are really trying to deal with kitchen table issues. That's what we've got to address, particularly while you have a president that's bragging about the economy. Right now, we cannot say with any comfort that Donald Trump would not be reelected. That should make us uncomfortable. It should make you all uncomfortable. But you know what should make you even more uncomfortable? You may be wondering why I brought up Rachel Maddow first and why I just jumped over to this. It's because after Al Sharpton makes this extremely poignant point that Democrats, you gotta talk about the economy, what happens? Well, you get this guy right here. He says, well, hold this. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. He's like, well, hold on. What we need to understand is that in the 2016 election, our country was attacked by an adversary who subverted our election. I'm like, no, they're doing it. Oh, God. They did it. You see, Al Sharpton on MSNBC said, please, Democrats, please. The economy is too good. Trump is laughing. We got to get on focus. We got to talk about kitchen table issues. And instead of saying yes, let's shift our focus and make sure we're focused on what the American people need. The economy is doing well. Their kids need to go to school. They're saving for their retirement funds. What can we do to improve all that? This guy jumps right in and goes, Russia. Ha. Like on cue, they want to make sure the Democrats can never get on point. People have talked about Donald Trump's 4D chess. I think it's funny because 4D chess is basically where you have like chestnuts stacked. And the idea is that everything Trump is doing is well calculated, that he's planned this all in advance, and that they're all playing his game. I think it's fair to point out to a certain degree, I do not think what Trump does is an accident, right? The way I've described it before is, if you think that Trump isn't doing these things on purpose, you're implying that Trump is walking down the street slipping on banana peels, but then pulling off perfect backflips. It's like, no, sometimes Trump just tried to do a backflip, and it worked. There have been a few instances where Trump has, tweeted offensive things, and it's shifted the news cycle away from some of his policies. Like when he was changing the rule on refugees and who can declare asylum, he tweeted some stupid stuff out. All of a sudden the media starts, they're like, woo, their arms waving in the air, and everyone forgot that Trump just made this major policy decision. But this shows us that it's not just about Trump playing 4D chess. You see, Trump may have a strategy. He may have good people behind him. But what MSNBC has shown us right here is that no matter how hard the Democrats try, they are literally slipping on banana peels. And so actually, here's what's happening. Donald Trump is walking on the street, slipping on banana peels, doing perfect backflips. Whoops, whoa, and then he lands. And the Democrats know they need to stand up, but every time they do, they keep slipping on banana peels and falling down. Okay, let me make my point. Al Sharpton was trying to address what needed to be addressed, the economy. This is why Trump is winning. And you should be uncomfortable because you can't predict that he's not, you can't say that he's not going to win. He's going to win. And then a guy goes, you're right, Russia. And that brings me back to the MSNBC story. What if Rachel Maddow is right? They're trapped. Look at that face. Look at that smug Rachel Maddow face. She was wrong about everything. Russiagate was not real. And not only did we learn it was not real, but when the Horowitz report came out, we learned that it was based on the Steele dossier, for the most part, loaded with errors. And that Carter Page was actually an informant for the U.S. government, but for some reason the FBI said he wasn't, so they can get a warrant against him. The whole thing was nonsense. How dare CJR actually ask if Rachel Maddow is right? And this is the trap the Democrats are in. They can't escape, and it's why they're losing. You know, I've had a lot of people say to me, Tim, you talk about the Democrats all the time. Why don't you rag on the Republicans? And what about the Republicans, man? No, seriously, what about them? You've heard me complain that Mitch McConnell is holding up House bills that have been passed by the Democrats. No, partisan politicking. Once again, the same thing we've seen over and over again. I'm not going to sit here and complain about what Republicans need to do to win, or try to complain to Democrats about why they already hate Mitch McConnell. I'm absolutely going to point out the hypocrisy and the absolute psychosis of the Democrats, because this is why they can't win. But don't take my word for it. They don't care. You see, here's what I want. I want an eagle with two strong wings. For a country to work, you need two strong wings, because when the Republicans start pushing something that might be nonsensical or bad, you need to call it out so that we can bring balance to the political force of the United States. They don't, though. They don't. You see, while I certainly think it's fair to point out that Mitch McConnell's been holding up legislation, is Nancy Pelosi concerned about it? I haven't heard her say anything. No, I've heard her go, impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. Why? I don't care about that. So it's really hard for me to come out and be like, I'm going to now complain about the Republicans who are basically saying the same thing they've always said, aren't pushing out fake, insane conspiracy nonsense. What am I supposed to complain about, you know? Tucker Carlson said this about Rachel Maddow. He said, I'm not going to rag on her for opinions because they're bad opinions, but I will tell you this. I will rag on the Democrats because even when a window is open, an opportunity for them to get on point, they don't. So the argument then, when it goes back to the 4D chess thing, is that Trump is trying to keep them off message. You know what, man? You know why I'm not a firm believer in everything Trump doing being 4D chess? I think he's got a strategy again. It's because he doesn't need to. He literally, you got look. This clip from MSNBC is mind numbing. Al Sharpton is trying to pull the left, the Democrats on point, and this guy jumps right in. Daily Caller didn't even point this out. They just show his quote, and they're like, Trump bragged on Twitter about the economy under his administration. Hispanic Americans and women are experiencing high employment levels, blah, blah, blah. Daily Caller didn't even point out they derailed. Maybe it's because the Daily Caller is conservative, and they don't get it. But I, as someone who has traditionally been, Democrat, am looking at what they're doing and being like, what, Rachel Maddow, you think she's right? This also shows us something else that's really important with the media. Columbia Journalism Review, it's supposed to be, Columbia University, it's supposed to be like legit journalism. And they're actually now asking if Rachel Maddow is correct. The Washington Post is even criticizing her because she's Alex Jones level for the Democrats. That's literally what she was. She's the Democrats' Alex Jones. It also shows the bias in social media and how things on the left can run rampant and get out of control. Like, Alex Jones tweets something hyperbolic and he gets removed. Rachel Maddow insinuates that Russians are going to shut off the electricity in Fargo in the winter, and people don't say anything and they keep watching her show. And surprisingly, somehow, they write puff pieces about her. It really is shocking to me. You'd think there would be some kind of comeuppance or moment of, reconciliation for all of the people in the media who pushed the fake news. No, they're all patting themselves on the back because that's what they do. When all these media, it turned out the Russia story was wrong, what does CNN say? What does the New York Times say? They say, well, the overarching story was incorrect, but our reporting at the time was right. Really, here's the way I explain it to people. When people complain about what Rachel Maddow does, they're like, hey, she did a good job reporting on what was known at the time. Okay. Here's what I say to people. If I hired someone to say, mow my lawn, and I came outside and they were mowing my neighbor's lawn, I'd say, well, you certainly did a good job mowing a lawn, but you didn't do the job I needed you to do. Imagine if you hired someone to carry a large rock and you said, walk north, and an hour later it turned out they walked south. Sure, they did a good job carrying the rock in the wrong direction. The journalists were supposed to be calling out the fake news, not celebrating it, not entertaining it. They were supposed to be saying, hey, this report's fake. And when Devin Nunes came out and said, hey, look at the FISA application stuff, it's nonsense, what did the media say? Nice try. The FBI said it was real. And Adam Schiff comes out, and Rachel Maddow was right there to make sure she propped it all up. So, you know what? if they're not smart enough to talk about why it's the economy, stupid, and they want to derail into Russia again, I don't know what to tell you, man. I think it's hopeless. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this, that Al Sharpton can literally be like Trump brags about the economy. That's what the video's titled. And this guy goes, but Russia. Okay, all right, yeah, sure. And then you know what's going to happen? Trump's going to win again. I'm going to kick my feet up, put him on a, kick my feet up on the desk, put my hands behind my head and say, you know, man, I told you so. I told you so every time. And the response? Unless I toe the tribal line, I must be partisan. I get people saying, Tim, why don't you rag on the Republicans? I do, sometimes. I do, yeah. But the problem is, come on, man. It was not real. The Russia stuff was not real, okay? The Horowitz reports come out. We know it's all fake. I was right. And now people are saying, why don't you, I don't know, rag on Mitch McConnell? Mitch McConnell's not doing anything. Like, I criticize him because he briefly said he was working with the president on impeachment. But what's there? Impeachment is the problem, not Mitch McConnell's agreement that there's nothing there. It's like people want me to be mad for the sake of being mad. No, I'm mad that CJR is supposed to be legitimate media, and they're asking if Rachel Maddow, you know what, I'm done. Rachel Maddow was not right. She's wrong across the board. She is the left-wing Alex Jones, and they don't see it. Stick around. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.